Today I'm going to be showing you why I switched, or I am switching to the Roux method. So as you know, or might know, the method I used to use was Petrus, which is a very uncommon method, but I liked it for a while until I noticed I was averaging 19-20 seconds. I noticed that really the only way I could improve from that point, unless if I seriously went into, really improving my block building, which was already pretty good, was learning like COLL and some other PLLs, and that was really the only way I saw that I could improve from that point. I know there's probably some other ways, but that seemed like the only path I could take to improve with the Petrus method, and I didn't want to take that path since I don't like learning algorithms, so I switched to Roux. Reason 2 is I didn't see much potential in the Petrus method left. I know some people are averaging like 15-14 seconds with it, but compared to Roux, where people are averaging sub 10 easily, I don't think it had much potential, at least for speed solving. I know it's probably the most efficient method out there, which is very good for other things like FMC, but I'm really only interested in 3x3 speed solving. So, and the reason that I didn't see much kind of potential for the Petrus method beyond where I and some other people were was basically how much thinking you had to do, because it is a very efficient method, but along with that efficiency comes a lot of thinking you have to do, and that means pauses in the solve, which means extra couple seconds added on to the solve, which really changes the amount of potential for a method, especially when you have to kind of slow down your turning speed to reduce the number of pauses in your solve because of how much you need to think for the Petrus method, especially when you're expanding it into a 2x2x3 block. So that's reason 2. Also, the I think third step in the Petrus method, EO, I think it's good that you're limiting yourself to only turning 2 sides, but it makes it very fast, but I don't think it's worth the extra like 6 moves just to do EO. It's sometimes less, but for one-handed, yes, it's great to do EO. That's why ZZ is such a fast method for one-handed, because everything's oriented and you have like a 3-gen solve. But for a two-handed method, I don't think EO really has that much place for two-handed solving, especially when you're adding a couple, like 2 seconds onto your solve just to do this thing, which really doesn't help that much for two-handed solving. I know Roux does have an EO step, but that's different because it's necessary to, or at least necessary to solve the middle layers, or what's left of the cube after you finish your F2B, to do EO, because it makes it a lot easier to recognize cases. That's not just for ergonomics like it is for the Petrus method. It's something you have to do. So that's the difference between the two EOs, and that's why I think EO for Petrus is much less useful than for Roux. But you may be asking yourself, why not switch to a method that's vastly more popular, like CFOP, or even ZZ, which is probably more popular at this point than Roux? Well, the reason is, I think Roux definitely, the things you do in Roux are much more similar to Petrus than CFOP. Because CFOP, you aren't really using block building, you're just kind of, yes, you could call it block building, but you're really just making a cross and placing in F2L pairs. But for Roux, you're block building the first and second block, which is very similar to the Petrus method. You're just doing it in a different order. Because in the Petrus method, obviously, you just create your 2x2x2 block, which is basically, and you start that block with a 2x2x1, which is kind of the first sub-step of creating your first block, and then you just add an edge. But in Roux, the only thing that's different is you add an edge and a corner to the 2x2x1 block. And second block really isn't that hard. And then you have CMLL, which is 42 algorithms, but they're all very easy because you don't have to worry about the permutation or orientation of the middle layer and the edges on the top, which COLL does not, which means longer, harder algorithms and more. So that's another reason. Even though CMLL, I'm not looking forward to learning it, I think I will have to improve, because after about a week of using Roux, I'm averaging almost what I did with Petrus, which is pretty good. I think the reason being the thing most people struggle with most with Roux is the block building, and that was basically already covered for me since I was pretty decent at block building with Petrus. And that's why my transition time between methods wasn't really that long. And I know a lot of people agree with me on this last point. Roux just looks a lot cooler as a method to be solving with, which is really my ultimate goal, just to like solve quickly and look cool doing it. And Roux looks much better with the LSC, which is last 6 edges. And it just looks really awesome because you're only doing M and U moves. Unless you're doing some kind of 6-flip algorithm, you're pretty much only limited to M and U, which makes it really cool, and they're very interesting moves to watch because you're really just moving a slice of the cube instead of just turning it the way everyone sees the Rubik's Cube is meant to be turned. So that's why I have switched to the Roux method. I'll be posting some solves in a video in the coming week or two. But that's it. So I've switched, and I'm going to be posting Roux type videos for the next, I don't know, until I maybe switch methods again. Because the thing is here, I know another reason I switched from Petrus is I got bored of it. But if I get bored of Roux, just switch back to Petrus. It's really that simple. So bye.